appreciate it. I joked around and said I've only got 15 pages of speech to read off to you, so no, just kidding. Just a couple quick words. As Dr. West mentioned, I am Keegan Scot, and also the proud dad of two other beautiful children, Fiona and Wyatt. And you know, on behalf of the board, I want to just personally thank Children's Hospital for basically everything that you all have done to us. I'm going to kind of go ad lib on the speech a little bit, because you can only write so much down, but then when you really get in here and seeing you all again, it just brings back so many memories. And some obviously are very bittersweet memories, but nonetheless, this will always place a very special place in our heart, and certainly a lot of you all will too. It was funny, I didn't know many of the last names of you all. I just knew Seth. I just knew, Amanda, and I knew a few others, and then some, with the exception of Dr. Loris. I know her name's Angela, but most of them I know Dr. Spicer and Dr. Brzezinski, that type of thing. But anyway, I just really want to thank you all for coming. I also want to thank Ned Herzenberg from the Cincinnati Scholarship Foundation. Without Ned's help, we really wouldn't have been able to get our scholarship off the ground, and certainly wouldn't have been able to be where we are today presenting. So, and also Julie Rose from Mayhem Advertising. She's just been, wonderful in helping out. And then lastly, just want to thank, again, the doctors and nurses of the CICU and the Heart Institute for their excellent care and really the compassion that they showed towards, Keegan and our family during what's easily the worst time of our life. That overwhelming support that we received really helped us more than you will probably ever know. And, we learned pretty quickly that there's some special people here at the Heart Institute. So as Dr. Loris mentioned, many of you probably do know Keegan's story. Some of you may not, and I'll just give you a brief description. He was born on July 8th of '09. He was a twin with Wyatt. And when he was 4 days old, he actually had his first of two pacemaker surgeries. So 4 days old, he had a pacemaker surgery. Dr. Manning is, performing that. We thought really things were going to be looking up. So the next several months, and a lot of the pictures that you may have seen of him, he's smiling. He was really doing great. But as Dr. Loris mentioned, we found out rather traumatically that his heart function was really poor, and I think around 7 to 8% of what it should be. So he was eventually on the heart transplant list, and on July 25th, he passed away from waiting on a heart from cardiomyopathy. So it was really just a few days later that Barry, my brother, called me and we talked, and he said, we need to do a scholarship fund. And I'd already kind of thought the same thing. And I know that doing a scholarship fund, a lot of people do that, but we wanted to do something a little different to help other kids and students who have congenital heart disease. And it's really from that concept, it really kind of blossomed and kind of took on an entity of its own. It's a nonprofit 501c3, so we're tax deductible, and we really, to be from where we are there to where we are here, is great. And it certainly is really all because of our family, but also because of our little boy too, that left this world way too early. So, because when you think about a scholarship fund, especially of someone who's only 1 year old, you really think about they left this world, they didn't spend much time in this world, they left way too early. But we soon found out that was really the impact that someone has on this world as opposed to the time spent. And as many of us know, he had an impact on our life and on your all's lives as well. So the scholarship fund was a way that through us, we can continue having others, and he can still have an impact through our efforts. So, I want to read a short passage real quick from something that Barry wrote on his when Keegan passed, and it really just epitomizes the impact that he had. Barry wrote that Keegan's spirit was so powerful, It permeated out of his body and filled the hearts of anyone who was blessed to know him. And then Keegan taught us so much, things like to never stop climbing in what seems to be an insurmountable climb, never stop fighting in what seems to be a never-ending battle, never take people or life for granted, and best of all, to do it all with a smile. And he did that. But certainly, he was not alone in dealing with medical situations and challenges that can have a negative impact on one's life. Yet despite these challenges, many people in this situation do not let their health problems define who they are as a person. And if the board would come up and join me right now, we're actually going to be introducing one very special person. Come on, gang. Come on up. Come up here. Well, as I was saying, one such person that we've had the pleasure to meet over the past, it seems like years, but it's really only been since the middle of May, is Hannah Kaltenbach. She too has suffered from some setbacks, but from our vantage point, you'd never know it. And, she's human. I'm sure she has good days and bad days like the rest of us. But something that she told us that really struck a chord with all of us was that when she was in the hospital, she was writing poems and doing things to help other kids in the hospital. So, instead of wallowing in what could be a very negative situation in her own mind, which I can only imagine, what would be going through the mind of someone who just found out they had a serious illness and is dealing with surgeries and all that, she still spent the time to actually write poems and eventually get shared with all the other kids on the hospital. Just amazing. And then, as a result, although she has obviously dealt with her serious issues, she's not let any of those hardships stop her from reaching your dreams, even if sometimes that climb seems a bit insurmountable as well. So that's why the board of the Keegan Scot Southers Memorial Scholarship Fund is very proud to offer Hannah Kaltenbach a scholarship for the amount of $3,000. And I don't know if you have a few things you want to say, but
I do.
thank you.
I just wanted to thank my family above all. Really, when it does, it hits you. It hits you hard, and you never know what's going to happen from that point on once you're diagnosed. And having my family and friends there was probably one of the biggest help for me, and the doctors were so supportive here at Cincinnati Children's. My specific surgeons were Dr. Pena and Dr. Garcia, and they literally know me inside out. They do. And although I don't think they could be here today, I appreciate them. I really do. And I feel so welcomed into this family, and I love all you guys. And I'm so proud to represent Keegan, and his picture does hang on our fridge, and every day I walk out, he's my inspiration. Just that smile, it really is. And I'm so glad that I can accept this scholarship in his name. I really am. Thank you, guys.
I think that's the end of our formal presentation. Now I think we can just mingle and have some fun and